But there's a lot more than just the herbs, as we as naturopaths all make sure that our clients are sleeping properly, they're getting exercise, sunlight, good food. But the adaptogens really help people to take that step, to be able to go from that super stressed state to be able to go, oh, okay, I can do this. I am capable of doing this. I can move forward and get on and start to incorporate these other good things in my life. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Hello and welcome back to Mentoring with Geraldine, the bite-sized podcast. And we've got Christine from the Herbal Extract Company with us. How are you today?
Hi, I'm well, thank you.
So we thought we'd talk about adaptogens today, because when we look at our herbs and when we mix our herbs and use our herbs, they actually come under certain almost classifications or systems and ways of using them. And adaptogens cover a number of herbs. And Christine recently wrote the Herbal Highlight on adaptogens, which if you're part of their mailing list, you will have sitting in your inbox waiting for you to read. But we thought we'd go through that and have a chat about what the word adaptogen means and the herbs that we use often as part of that system of care. So tell us some more about adaptogens, Christine.
Yes, and this was really interesting actually, and I loved, I came across David Hoffman being interviewed, and he is just fantastic. He's a real proponent for traditional herbal medicine, and he's got some great textbooks, and he's a really great speaker.
Right.
And you can tell he really is passionate and knows his stuff. And it was quite a recent recording. So that was really, I've quoted him a few times in the highlight because I just thought what he said was really interesting.
Yeah.
And really apt as well. But, and, you know, also the fact that adaptogens are a relatively new term when it comes to herbal actions. So the properties of what adaptogens are were probably known by traditional herbalists and the eclectics, but the actual word adaptogen wasn't. So it was coined in the 1950s in Russia.
Wow.
By Russian pharmacologists. But they were looking at Siberian ginseng at the time.
Yep.
That's where a lot of our Siberian ginseng research comes from. But the leading figure in Soviet pharmacology at the time and toxicology, they were developing all these new drugs. And he proposed to the scientific and medical community that substances which could bring about an increased non-specific resistance could be called adaptogens because they help us adapt to stress, as the word indicates.
Yeah.
So, so that's quite, and sort of cope and endure stress longer, cope with and endure stress longer.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stress in today's society. Many of our clients come to us and we head straight for those adaptogens. You know, it's like almost a rush for the shelf sometimes when people walk in the door. But there's a lot more than just the herbs, as we as naturopaths all make sure that our clients are sleeping properly, they're getting exercise, sunlight, good food. But the adaptogens really help people to take that step, to be able to go from that super stressed state to be able to go, oh, okay, I can do this. I am capable of doing this. I can move forward and get on and start to incorporate these other good things in my life. There's actually a hazard with using adaptogens, really, according to Hoffman, isn't there?
Yes, well, he says they're not miracle cures, as we know, none of the herbs are. So you really have to make, like what you just said, you have to, it's a broad treatment and they're useful, but in the context of a holistic treatment.
Yeah.
So, because they're non-specific as well, they're safe and gentle.
Yeah.
And so, they're not sort of specific. And I think he's sort of saying these days the definition's starting to be lost a little bit.
Yeah.
And I came across that. I was when I was writing the highlight for mental health, we decided to do sort of a series because of the pandemic, and a lot of people have got this added stress.
Yeah.
So I'm sure naturopaths are going to be seeing a lot of people who have mental health issues, whether it be anxiety or insomnia or stress. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Even before it, seeing it.
Yes, we are creating for ourselves as a society, so not individually, but as a society, we're creating that additional stress all the time in our behaviors and wanting to do more and more and more. I think one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that we shouldn't be soldiering on, as the advert was for coughs and cold remedies. And by soldiering on, we don't rest, and we need to rest. We need to recalibrate. We need to adapt to our stresses, but we need to recalibrate and do all the things we're meant to be doing that nature intended. That's what a naturopath's all about, isn't it? That, naturopathy means to live by nature, and it doesn't mean that you have to go and live in the woods like a bear. It means that you eat, your breakfast is real food, your lunch is real food, your dinner is real food, that you have meditation, relaxation. Yes, we need stress in our lives. There's a lot of evidence that we need stress, and stress supports our resilience and all the other things that stress does. But sometimes there's just too much. We pile too much on ourselves, and we take on more and more and more, rather than remembering that sometimes we have to say no. So, and these herbs, they're within this sort of class, there are numerous herbs that we use on a regular basis, and they're very nutritive as well. And some of them are quite rare. So, the rhodiola is endangered, isn't it? It's it's hard to get to. So it's an expensive herb, works very well, but we don't want to use it really long term. A number of them but reishi, you can have that all the time. Have your mushrooms. Have your mushrooms.
Original adaptogens.
Yes. Yeah. Have the mushrooms. Eat the mushrooms. Eat all the mushrooms.
Yeah. And it's good in deficiency syndromes, tiredness and fatigue.
Yeah.
Because with the adaptogens, you're looking at the general adaptation syndrome, which is, the 3 stages your body goes through when you're stressed. So, the alarm, resistance, and then exhaustion.
Yeah.
So adaptogens are going to help in this resistance and exhaustion stage, because as you said, we need stress. We need that alarm to help us run away from the stressor.
Yeah.
And we can change the stressor, but they don't get rid of stress.
No, they don't.
Just help us to adapt to it.
Yeah.
So, so when you get to that exhaustion stage, the tiredness and fatigue, and reishis.
Yep.
A great one. Has even surpassed Korean ginseng in the Orient.
Yes.
Apparently.
Has it?
Yeah. Adaptogens and rhodiola. We don't use, if anything's endangered, of course, we wouldn't use it. We have the CITES. I can't remember what all those letters stand for, the Conservation of Endangered Species.
Yes.
And we wouldn't be able to import it, so they come from sustainable sources. But it's like a great herb for 21st century stress.
Oh, amazing herb. I like to put it with the Siberian ginseng, but people work very well quite low dose on it as well. It's not, they don't need huge doses of these adaptogens once they start implementing life changes as well. So if we don't implement the life changes, we're not going to achieve their aims and their goals.
Yeah.
And I do like a bit of Shisandra, especially for the women. I really enjoy giving that one to the ladies who are that bit more stressed, because that's the thing with being a herbalist, isn't it? We're combining these herbs. We've learned about them. We know the contraindications. And so we combine the herbs. We never have them independently. And very rarely do we use them as a simple, which is a single herb. And by combining them, we're getting exactly what our clients need. We're getting the perfect combo. But I do like Shisandra. I sort of always think of that as more, it's not, but I think of it as more a female herb. And I do like to give it to women as part of that adaptogenic picture, because it's the liver. And
sometimes I just sort of associate them more with one or the other, but it's good maybe because all the women that are coming in are tired because it does increase energy and stamina and performance.
Or
assist in doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Also good for resistance to disease, so that immune aspect.
Yeah.
And they team really well with adrenal tonics,
Mm-hmm.
you know, licorice and Romania.
Yeah. The licorice and Romania are in a mix.
Yeah, team up with those.
Yeah.
But yeah, Siberian ginseng, as you said, was where the understanding of the adaptogens first started.
Yeah.
You know, all the early Soviet studies there was so many studies done, like on thousands of people.
Wow.
And yeah, there was lots of positive results from a wide variety of ailments that they tested. So with few side effects. So it kind of, that's where a lot of the research came from.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And one of the others that's a complete favorite, and we're going to have a separate podcast on, is withania. But we will talk about that completely separately in another podcast, because it's a very popular herb, and that leaps into this area as well, this adaptogenic herbal that we use. So is there anything we've missed about these adaptogens? Because we want to use them in the whole treatment.
I think, as Hoffman said, the danger with adaptogens is that people just carry on, they soldier on, rather than changing the stressful situation, and they almost become a user of herbs to try and stop the stress. So it'll only help for a certain amount of time, because the body can only reach a certain limit.
Yes.
So, and then exhaustion is going to happen. So they're a component to a holistic treatment.
Yeah, that's what I explain to my client. I show them, I call it a lifeline, and I draw a line and I say, you know what, you're a child, you wake up, you're right here on this lifeline. You know, you've got all the energy in the world, and you have bursts and spurts and bursts and spurts. Then we start getting older and we start to take coffee to give us that burst of energy. We start to take tea. We start to take anything that will give us this burst of energy. And we slowly drop below where we should be on our lifeline, on our energy line, on our vitality line. And as we drop down, then these adaptogens will help us to raise that vitality and get back to that line. But without the holistic support of the whole diet, of the whole lifestyle, then you're going to drop again. So over the next few days, you're going to feel that you've got a lot of energy, and you're going to want to go back to that super sporty sports class or whatever it is that is killing you. And I don't want you to suddenly, you can't do that. You need to do the whole life system. You need to introduce the yoga, the meditation, all the other stuff, so that when you actually get back to that lifeline where you're meant to be, you're there to stay. Because you've managed to support and change your lifestyle enough. And that's why we need to see our clients on a regular basis, to support them, to get them there, to support those changes. Because often people don't realize the changes they need to make. They think they're doing it right. I thought I was doing tons of stuff right as a nurse before I became a naturopath, and realized that no, actually this isn't good for me. But this is a swap. This is a handy swap that I can use instead, so that I can do something, or I can change something. And these adaptogens help us to get some of that energy back, so we can make those swaps and make those changes and support our resilience and our health. I mean, the reishi, all those mushrooms are supporting us, and the shisanda, they're putting our immunity as well. So they're doing a load in there for our bodies, but we need to support our bodies as well in that holistic setting.
And listen to them.
And listen to the body. So people have forgotten how to listen to their bodies.
Yeah, it's a sign when you're feeling exhausted. It's your body saying you need to rest.
Yes. You need to rest. It's not soldiering through. It's definitely making sure that you listen to that body, and you rest and you recuperate, and you have the right foods and the support that you need from your local naturopath or herbalist. So is there anything we've missed on that one?
No, I think that's covered it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Christine. It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you, as always. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Cheers.
Okay, thank you. Bye, Geraldine.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.